Hello from Gardening at Douentza here in Ireland, and today's video is all about pricking out and potting up this gorgeous species Streptocarpus that I've grown from seed. Now it's a bit of a quirky one because it only ever produces one leaf, and that leaf gets really long, and that has led to a few little problems which I'll take you through as we prick it out and pot it on. So let's get on with the video. So today I've taken this show outside just because it's easier to do things and make a mess out here, and I am about to take this little plant out of the pot. And before I do that, I just want to show you what it's like close up. Now, as you can see, my germination has gone really well, and I have lots of little seedlings. But what you'll also see is that the bigger ones are shading out the smaller ones. Look at those gorgeous red backs to the leaves there. But the result of that is going to be that the ones that are underneath are going to get no light, and then it's going to be just like last year, when what happened was I ended up with just one single Streptocarpus that covered up all the other seedlings, killed them off, and then I just had one plant. Now I only needed one plant, but this time round we're going to prick them out and pot them up separately in time so that we have lots of plants. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to remove this plant from its pot, and I've left it to soak for a little while just to make sure that the pricking out is going to be easy. So I'll just squeeze the edge of the pot here, and out we come. And I'm just going to put this down because it has been wet. It means everything is really quite sloppy. And the next thing I'm going to do now is to just worry off the mix. And as we know, Streptocarpus are not a deep rooting plant, so we have a lot of space down at the end of the pot where these seedlings have not extended their roots. So you can see that the roots aren't very deep down at all. And now what we're going to do is to just separate out these plants, which is quite easy since we've soaked it. And we need to just very gently take the top, take the leaf, not the stem, and just pull it away. And here we do the same thing. One tiny little root, put that down here. It's a bit nerve-wracking the first time you do this pricking out process, but if your seedlings are good and wet, they should just come away easily without any tearing of the roots. And the trick is to try and tear the roots as little as possible. And just take your time with this process. Don't be in a hurry and pull because, you're going to tear something. I think that one there is my biggest seedling, so we'll make sure to give him a nice pot. Okay, nearly done. There you go, big boy. Okay, so it's really quite sunny and these roots are very vulnerable, so I'm just going to take this and put it in the shade of under the table so we can continue with making the potting mix. Right, so next up we have a bowl, and for my mix I am going to use potting mix, perlite and vermiculite. 4 parts ordinary potting mix. Now I used to use a peat mix here, but I've switched to non-peat, and as long as it's fine, it seems to do quite well. And then what we'll also use is 1 part perlite, and this here is the perlite, and 1 part vermiculite, which is this stuff here. Also nice and light and airy. And now I'll just mix all of that around really well, breaking up any lumps and getting rid of any lumps too. And I'm going to use this little tray here for potting up my seedlings. Now, in theory, it is a little bit too big, but it's the smallest one I have. What is more important is that it is too deep. We also how shallow those seedling roots were. So to compensate for the fact that this is a little bit too deep, what I'm going to do is just put a bit of perlite at the base of each cell. And here are my seedlings, hopefully not dried out too much. And here is my mix. Now, if you're a kind-hearted sort of person, you tend to go for the little runts of the litter and do something with them quickly. But what you really need to do is go for the big seedlings and make sure that they're potted up well. And these are the ones that are going to grow on and give you good results in quickest time. So I've put some mix in here, just make a little hole. This is my biggest boy. In he goes, and make sure that the leaf is pointing out. Now, as I said, these plants only ever produce 1 leaf, so I can see where he's going to point. That's his only leaf. It's going out that way. It's good. And just firm him in a little bit. Now, next door, we will pot up the next biggest guy, which I think is this one. And we do the middle ones. It's a bit of a conundrum as to which way to point the leaf, because whichever way you do it, he's going to be hanging over one of his neighbours. But okay, we'll see how we go with that. Now, at this stage in the game, it's always important to ask yourself exactly how many seedlings do I want? Because there's no point in busting a gut, transplanting things that you really are not going to get around to looking after, and they're just going to cause you stress. So you may want to take a view as to the ones that you discard. But do remember to keep a few extras than you think you need in case something happens to the ones that you are sure are going to come through and you need backups. And now for my final 2 cells, what I'm going to do is just put in a couple of extra plants. So let's say maybe 3 in each cell, which is a bit congested, but not to worry, because these are the backup ones in case something doesn't work out. And if something doesn't work out, then I'll prick these out again at a later stage and grow them on individually. And there we go. And then finally, just what I'm going to do is to scoop up the mix that I chucked out before. And for these final seedlings here that nobody loves, that nobody wants, what I'll do is I will put them in here and just keep them as a backup in case something, a backup to the backup, let's say. But yeah, I just explained to you why you shouldn't be soft-hearted, and here now, look what I'm doing. Okay, so these ones I'm just going to place in here, a bit more space than they had before. Yeah. And then finally, I'm just going to water in my seedlings. And this is water from the tap. It's a little bit warm. It's not stuff that's been in the butt and is freezing as it is outdoors now, because these plants have been kept indoors in quite warm conditions, so I don't want to shock them too much, which means I'm going to take them indoors now rather than shocking them too much with the cold that is out here today. And here we go for my little backup plants. And that is how you prick out and pot up Streptocarpus. And I am going to bring these indoors now and keep them just moist, as I do with my other Streptocarpus, until they get going, and then they may need potting on. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if so, if so, then that's great, isn't it? Have a great weekend. Bye.